Signal. Tuesday morning, we had a good time this weekend. All right, we finished our 4-part series on programming the controller. That went well. I got a lot of good questions, a lot of good feedback. So we're going to take everything that you learned today and we're going to apply it to actually programming the controller. But one thing I wanted to go over first is I actually have a plan that I found. I'm going to kind of break down the plan so that way you guys kind of understand what's on the plan and then how to take it off the plan and get it into the controller. So there's a couple things that I wanted to talk about first. I don't think anybody's joining us on the phone today, so I'm going to take this off. Hold on. Okay. All right. Today I'm doing a couple different things. I'm going to be going from the live screen, which is the video screen that you're seeing now, to the back panel that you have. I also have a PDF that I'm going to have up there. I'm going to be going over this print, and then eventually we'll make it to the controller. So bear with me as I'm kind of flipping through these three screens. So right now, so here's a print on the screen, and basically I'm going to be kind of manipulating this. So you'll see where that says sequence and timing. That gives us all a basic sequence and timing, red, yellow, green, walk, don't walk. Our signal heads basically tells us what our phasing is. And then down below, you'll see it gives us that ring structure where it says 1, 2, 5, 6, 4, and 8. That's our ring structure. And to the right, our preferential phase sequence. And then down below, you see my mouse a little bit. Over here, it's our vehicle data. We have video detection here, so it's our vehicle detection chart. Right here is our time of day program. Over here is our coordination data. And over here is our preemption. So that covers kind of everything that we need to know for our programming. But there's also some other information on there that you should be familiar with. So they always give sequence and timing notes. I'll go over those. They give you notes for vehicle and preemption. They give you your proposed signal data. So they tell you what each individual signal head looks like, and then what the face looks like. And then we have the major items list down here to the right, which I'm going to go right to something right now which focuses on that major items list. So I'm going to go to my big board. Okay. So one thing I want to go over real quick, because this question comes up all the time, is specifications. Okay. So basically, specifications covers what kind of equipment, covers the scope of work that you're doing for a project, a signal project, whether it's a brand new signal project or a modification. It kind of gives you an explanation of what the scope of work is for the contractor, for the work he has to do, and then also what the equipment that we have to supply. So that's part of the specifications, and then also built into the plans that we're looking at right here. So it kind of tells the story of what we're trying to do with the project. Also part of it, one of the main part is obviously for me, Ocean State Signal as a supplier, and then for you guys to get what you want is specifications. So I want to go over a quick thing so everybody kind of understands how this works. So up on the board behind me, see where it says specifications. So basically there's three kinds of specifications. We have proprietary specifications, performance-based, and open or equal specifications. All right. Basically, I have a large majority of municipal folks on this. So a lot of this kind of applies to you, but they've made some changes recently that DOT can be used proprietary equipment as well. Okay. So proprietary equipment, what is proprietary equipment? Proprietary equipment is the equipment that an agency requests by manufacturer's name to use for a signal project. So you're doing a traffic signal project. For the cases of what we do here at Ocean State Signal, you want to specify Siemens M60 traffic controllers. So in the spec, you're going to write M60, Siemens M60 traffic controller with the model number, and basically this is the controller that you want to use. There's many other manufacturers out there. That's the one you want to use. When you start writing that kind of language into your specification, it's becoming a proprietary spec. You want it to be written around Siemens controller, Polara push buttons, GTT preemption, dial light LEDs, you know, Iteris or mild vision video detection. You're putting a manufacturer's name and model number in there, and that's what makes it proprietary. So that's always a little bit of a fine line, because as we all know, there's bidding laws and they vary in each state in New England. That, you know, an agency is trying to get, you know, the biggest bang for the buck, and sometimes that comes sometimes that comes in the cost of the equipment. Sometimes that comes in the cost of equipment plus the familiarity of it, the cost of the equipment, the familiarity, the support of it. There's a lot of long-term impact when an agency makes a purchase that should be factored in beyond just what the cost of the equipment is. Because, you know, that, you know, the word that gets used a lot is low bid. Everything goes out to low bid. Whatever the lowest price is, it generally gets awarded. If you're at using city funds at the city level, you have a lot more control over what you get. So, and some of the things we talk to with our agency partners that we have, you know, they're trying to build something. They're trying to build, a lot of agencies right now are trying to build a traffic infrastructure with a traffic network, whether through fiber or copper or wireless. So they want to have all the same equipment on there, and then it's going to go back and talk to traffic management software. So they want it all to be the same kind. So some of the examples I give up here is when you say you want manufacturer ABCD, these are some of the things that can help build your case so you can get what you want. All right. And a lot of times that can come in the form of a letter. We've had many municipalities have written a letter to a consultant, to the DOT, to whomever, saying, here's the equipment that we want, and here's the reasons why we want it. So one of the things is 50% of your intersections or greater are manufacturer X. I'm going to keep using Ocean State equipment as the example. More than 50% of my intersections have Siemens controllers in there. They're Eagle cabinets, Mobitrex cabinets. This is what I want for consistency throughout my region. I have Siemens Tactics software, traffic management software. So because of the traffic management software, I want all my controllers to talk to that software. I don't want another manufacturer's controller to go in, because then it's going to become problematic. It won't be able to talk to my traffic management software as I'm trying to build this traffic management system in my city for upload and download connectivity. We all know about maintenance budgets. A maintenance budget, you get to buy some spare equipment every year. Some get more than others. It is what it is. We have to make do. So ideally, you want to buy the spare equipment that matches the equipment that's in already. So if you have to buy spare equipment, obviously we'd love you to call Ocean State Signal and say, I want to buy a spare M60, an EDI monitor, some Polara buttons. So your spare equipment then matches what's out there. So if something happens, it burns up by surge, you know, it gets knocked down or whatever, it's easily replaceable by your spare equipment. It's more of a plug and play situation. One of the other things for you maintenance folks out there, knowledge and familiarity. This is what I work on a daily basis. This is what I'm familiar working with. I know I'm comfortable programming a controller, a push button, video detection, because I work on it all the time. I prefer not to have another manufacturer, because then the learning curve starts all over again, and that can become problematic. And then obviously what you've been doing for the last 5 weeks, dealer support. You've been watching me give you videos and training you on how to use our equipment. So if you combine these 5 things together, what happens is we would say you may have to provide a proprietary letter. So you would kind of get a letter together on your agency letterhead and basically point out all these facts. You can cite projects that you've recently done, financial investments the city's been doing over the past couple of years, kind of going in this direction. Because proprietary specs are allowed. So about just recently in October of 2019, I have a document here, you can see, I can email it to anybody. They basically, I don't want to talk out of turn, they opened up the ability to make it easier to have proprietary specs. And they did it for a lot of these reasons right here. Basically, if you're paying for it, you can get what you want. You know, there's nothing more frustrating than I hear an agency, you know, they lock in, they want a specific piece of equipment, it goes out to bid, then they call me up saying, Gary, I didn't get, where's your stuff? I got this other stuff. And, you know, we can only do so much control from a bidding standpoint. But obviously, you know, you want what you want to do. So it does require work on your behalf. We will support you on what we can do, giving you the information that you would have to go to your procurement office, go to your engineering folks, go to the mayor. That's why it's important that you'll hear me say the terms for all you maintenance guys. It's important that you guys have a seat at the table when they're doing signal projects. A lot of times you guys don't find out until the stuff's getting put in. And by then it's too late. It's so hard to get anything changed at that point. So try to become part of the process. Speak to whoever gets involved, typically with engineering, and say, you know, I want to be a part. If there are any projects coming up, I have some good insight on what we can do. So that way we get the equipment that we want that meets the application that we're doing. So that way, that's how the money is spent efficiently. The money isn't always spent efficiently on a low bid thing. If me and you are working on something and there is a little bit uniqueness to the project, we're going to factor that equipment for that application. If it has to do with firehouse or a bridge or an overpass or something like that, that's all going to be factored in. Somebody else may just kind of throw some equipment at it. They get in, they get out, and then there's going to be some, you know, we're planning to tie that project into another project. You know, each year you do a capital project, so it may take 3 years to complete this. So you need to have a voice and express what's going on, because I talk to you guys the most, but I'm always happy to go talk to engineering. We go talk to mayor's office now. We want to be part of that process. IT departments are huge. We talk to those folks. So that's kind of everything that kind of in a nutshell goes into that proprietary spec. Sometimes you can't have the, you know, in years past, you couldn't have that proprietary spec, but a way around it was we did something called a performance-based spec. So basically the specification was written around a Siemens M60 controller. It just didn't say M60 controller. It said the controller shall have, and we would list like 15 different things that an M60 could do. So anybody that wanted to, any manufacturer wanted to bid on it, still had to meet all the requirements. It just didn't say M60. So those were generally accepted. We did very well with those. And then lastly, this is what most people are used to seeing, open or equal. So it can say Siemens M60 controller or equal. So that means it's calling out an M60, but they're basically saying you can put in whatever you want. Even though it may not fit the application, this is what they can do. And these two generally will apply to a DOT where it's a little more specific because they're using federal money. And that's where this document really starts to work in everybody's favor, because the city at the municipal level, it's generally, you know, you're getting city grants. The dollars are different where they're coming from, as opposed to DOT, Mass DOT, Rhode Island DOT, New Hampshire DOT. That's general federal highway money. So they want to know where that money's going, what it's being spent on, if all the procurement laws are being approved. But in October, they kind of changed that around. So we are allowed to do proprietary specs on DOT projects. So again, I just wanted to kind of break down the whole thing, hopefully answer some questions. If anybody has any questions, feel free to call you. We can help you with letters. We can give you the information, because in the end, you're going to be stuck with this equipment. You want to be stuck with what you want in the beginning, right? Dollars are hard to come by. You might as well spend them on something that you want. You go to the Walmart and you want to buy a Samsung TV. Generally, you don't settle for something else because this is what you want. This is what you researched with. This is what you went on, what do you call it, Best Buys, and they said, buy this one, don't buy this one. So why would you buy that one? Okay. There's my little spiel on specifications. Again, if you have any questions, give me a call. So the specifications, and we also help you write specifications. I have a number of agencies where we put the whole specification together. It's a traffic signal spec. I can send everybody out a generic copy. We can fill in whatever you want. It covers the controller, right? The cabinets, the push buttons, the LEDs, the hardware, the colors of everything, video detection, loop detection, preemption, any type of communication, radios. It covers the whole gamut. They used to be like 3 or 4 pages. Now it's like a 20-page document. You get that when a project comes out, you hand that to the consultant, say, this is what we're looking to do. Help us do this. And the consultants don't mind it because it gives them guidance. You just save them a bunch of work. And then that gets built into the plans and specs. So that's the little, that's the specification. Very, very important. So the first thing that's going to translate into over here is our major items list. You'll see over here, list of major items, and it'll break down the quantities of each item. So in the spec, it'll say item 816-03. So if you went into the specification book, it would say 816-03, and it would start listing this stuff. So just for example, like the top line, TS2 Type 2 controller, Type P base with cabinet with foundation, right? That's just basically saying a TS2 cabinet with a controller. I've seen places where this line actually said Siemens M60 controller. That's great. The more places you can have it written, what manufacturer you want, the better it reinforces to everybody else. A lot of times it'll be a little generic here because it says it back in the spec, but you can definitely add it in here. Traffic signal poles, you'll see it's got your section heads, it's got APS push buttons, again, APS button, sign and saddle. Sometimes it'll say Polaro APS button, sometimes it just says APS button. Emergency preemption, it lists the detector, the phase selector. That can be, again, you could have a manufacturer in there. It's a benefit if you do, but you don't need it as long as it says it in the specs. All right. In regards to those signals, one thing we check and the contractors check is, it gives you a quantity of signals here. So 10, 12-inch, 3-section vehicle signal indications. So up here, it's showing you the vehicle intersections, and it lists them by letter because that's how they're designated on the plan sheet, where it shows the big intersection, and it'll say signal A, signal B. So over here, if we count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 red, yellow, and green balls, and then 9, 10. And then there's 2 3-section left turn arrows. So we have 10 signals there, we have 10 signals down there. So it matched up. And it tells you like louvers, back plates, things of that nature. All 12-inch lenses. We don't pretty much use 8-inch lenses anymore, so it should be that. And then it gives you over here, P1 through 12. Here's our countdown PED signals. And if you look over there, it'll say 12, 16-inch countdown PED signals. Again, 16-inch lenses. So it's always good. A lot of times that's off by 1, if you have flashing yellow arrows or whatever, all that signal indication. Sometimes it'll tell you existing signals, proposed signals, what has to be replaced. All right, so those are key. And then, let's see, go to the notes. So you want to follow that up with any notes. So there's the only notes under there is just basically louver back panels, that type of stuff. Okay. Oops. So we'll jump right into, okay. My little taskbar, I'll see if I can make that a little bit bigger. How's that look? How's that look, Wayne? All right. All right. All right. So if you look at this right here, basically here's our sequence and timing. So you'll hear me say, go to the timing, the sequence table, the timing and sequence table, signal and phasing chart. This is what this stands for, okay? So if you look over here, you got your minimum interval with the times going across. That's our minimum green time, our vehicle extension, our max 1, our max 2, yellow, red, and pedestrian signals, right? So in the case right here, we have phase 1. It's 6 seconds of min green, 2.1 seconds of vehicle extension, 15 seconds max 1. We're not using any max 2, so it's zeroed out. 3 seconds of yellow, 3 seconds of red, and there's no PED on 1, okay? Pretty straightforward. Then we have our approaches, so it gives you all the approach, Rhode Island Ave, William Canning Boulevard, Tucker Street. It gives you our directional south, north, east, and west, and then the signal housings. So when you look on the big plan sheet, this will all match up together. So it kind of gives you directions on what you're looking for. Now, this is the thing that's a little bit hard for people to understand. So you'll notice over here, right, this is broke into in sections, basically sections or slices. So we have 1 through 18. So it goes 1, 2, 3, that's for phase. Typically there's 3 per phase, red, yellow, green. If we have a flashing yellow arrow, there'll probably be a 4th one. Sometimes with an overlap, there'll be a 4th one. Wayne, there's somebody waiting.
Yeah, I was saying they wanted me to send an email.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so if you look for just for an answer, Rhode Island Ave southbound signal A, you'll notice it's red everywhere else. And what that's saying, it's red in all the other phases except for right here, which is our, phase 6. I gotta make this a little bit small. Click small. You can see it all. Okay. Okay. So you notice down here, you'll see where the phases go. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 8. So that's lining us up to where all the signal identifications go. So if I go over here, Rhode Island Ave, southbound 1, try to use my little drawing guy right here, right? If I look at these two right here, right? So my southbound, green, yellow, red, I know that that's phase 6. So that's how that gets tied in together. Delete those. Right? And then you'll also see that there's a southbound over here, a southbound C, but you'll notice it's over here. And over here under the 6, there's nothing there because that's our phase 1 left turn. So that's put only under phase 1 and not under phase 6. Even though the phase 1 and 6 come on together, it's listed separately inside of the plans. Okay. And then we go down to the northbound ones. Same thing over here. We got green, yellow, red arrows, right? That's a phase 5. And then we have northbound E and F. You'll see those are phase 2, green, yellow, red. And then our 2 eastbounds, those fall into phase 4 because this is our phase 4. And then we have 2 westbounds that go into phase 8. So that covers all of our signal, all of our vehicle signal. And then down below, they'll list separately the pedestrian signals. So basically PED 1 to 2, 3, 4, so we have 12 PED signals here. And basically wherever I always tell people just look for the walks because that'll tell you where what phase those PED signals are. So in this case, right, we got a walk there, right, and the walk there. So PEDs 3 and 4 and PED 7 and 8 are phase 2 PEDs, okay? Oop. All right, so that's how we know the PED signals. Oh, one other thing too is over here to the right, you'll notice it gives you the flashing operation. So basically that's telling me what the emergency flash operation would be. So Rhode Island southbound, I want my phase 6 signals to flash yellow. I want my left turns to flash red, my other main street to flash yellow, then everything else to flash red. So it's either going to say FY, F red, NF for no flash. If there's an arrow, it could say the arrow is flashing. And then obviously all the PEDs, they go off during the flash. We don't do anything. We kill the PED signals during flash. Down here, it'll tell our detectors, basically, when we talked about locking memory and non-lock, because we have full actuation detection, we're going to have these on non-lock, so they're all in presence mode. And then for recalls, here's where we generally put the, you know, typically you'll have the recalls on the main street. So in this case, because we have working detection, we're gonna have 2 and 6 on soft recall, as you can see right there. If we look over here to the right, we have to go check our sequence and timing notes. So if assigned right away for any traffic movements to remain, next call, the signal. Basically, it's just explaining how they want the sequence of operation to go. Right away has been assigned to non-conflicting phase. These are general notes that are on most plans. One of the keys, so here's the one down here. So this is a, sorry, my pencil's a little off. Phase 5, phase 4 and 8 program for dual entry. So we covered that in the program, and that basically is saying if a vehicle pulls up on 4, it wants to also put in a call into 8. So they always want 4 and 8 to come on together. So you'll never see just 4 or just 8. They're all going to have 4 and 8 on together. So that's something, you know, when they say, oh, how do you know that? Because I read it in the programming notes over there. That's why it's always important to read the programming notes. It'll give you little tidbits of information like that. Okay. And then bear with me as I'm going around. And then they give you one more chart down here, which is basically, it just shows you, so phase 1, they'll give you the arrow, the darkened arrow on what that movement is. So here's the left turn, here's 2 is the through movement, and you notice it has the dashed line, that's the PED. And you notice the PEDs, there's 4 concurrent PEDs on this particular plan sheet, and the concurrent PED always comes up to the right side of the vehicle movement. So here's the phase 2 PED. You'll notice it has 2 PEDs over here. Technically, this is the phase 4 PED, it's on the right side, but because 4 and 8 always run together, they put both PEDs on there. Here's 6, it has their PED on the right side, and then here's phase 8, this is actually the phase 8 PED over here. And then 3 and 7 aren't used, so they just added that box in down there. Here's some more notes over here, just kind of the flashing per MUTCD. Push buttons upon actuation, that means you're going to push the button. Max 1 free operation, max 2 see coordination data, stop and go, and then it actually tells you inhibit max term shall be in effect in coordination. So there's a lot of little important notes that kind of keep updating us what we're supposed to do with the program. Here's our sequence. So basically similar to that chart that I've been drawing for the past couple of weeks, right? We have 1, 2, think of this as, let me get my pen going here. Oop. Bear with me on these as I just, okay. So basically that's ring 1. Ring 2. So it looks just like the chart that I've been drawing the past couple of ring 1. Here we go, phase 1, phase 2. The barrier that I bring in there, we're not using a 3, so we go to 4. And then it basically goes back to 1 again. And you'll see with these little arrows right here, it's demonstrating what I was demonstrating to you guys. And then ring 2, 5 to 6 to 8. You'll notice we don't have an exclusive PED 9, that's why it's not in there. And we're not using 3 and 7, so that's not in there. And then over here, it just kind of gives you the different scenarios that could come up. So we can have 1 and 5 come on together, or maybe just 1 and 6, or maybe 2 and 5, but eventually we'll get to 2 and 6. When 2 and 6 clears, we'll go to 4 and 8, and then we go back around again. So they give you the secret, they give you all the scenarios that can happen along with the ring structure. Again, if anybody has any questions, feel free to stop me. Some of this is review, some of this just learning for the first time, but I just thought it'd be best to kind of expose what we've been doing and how to translate all, because a lot of people don't understand how to get the information off the plan. Okay, so now we got through those 2 guys. Now we come down here, we have a video detection data. So video detection or vehicle detection, you know, in this case, because it's video, we have zones. So it's telling me the detector zone. So I have 1 through 9 sequentially, and then they add a 13. Sometimes they jump around, you know, all states kind of do it a little bit differently. Like in Rhode Island, they like to use, like they make it into groups of 4. So each direction has 4, so it may go detectors 1 and 2, and then if they're not using 3 and 4, they skip to 5 and 6 for the other approach. So it may go 1, 2, 5, 6, 9, 10. So that's the way they list it. But we try to keep it sequentially, and then when we do it as we do the programming, we try to keep it sequentially. Sometimes we get plans where it jumps all around, and we try not to get these numbers out of order because that's how everybody is following them. So that's how we try to keep the consistency. Basically, the camera numbers here. Not sure SPVD. I'm not sure what that means. Typically, they just do 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. They give you the approximate zone. That's more for loops, 6x40, 6x20. We make the video zones to whatever they need to be to, kind of give you the proper coverage. Again, any delays that they would need, it would be on here. 5-second delay for the right turns, but we would put them in the controller channel. And then here's the phase that's here. So it looks like we fill this in. I'm not sure why they didn't fill it in, but basically we have 6, 6, 1, 6, 2, 2, 5, 2, 8, 4. So that covers all the phases. Any phase that's being used needs to have a detection channel assigned to it, or you're going to go into flash and you're going to get a fail on it, because otherwise the controller doesn't know how to service that phase. So every phase should be covered in this chart. So basically these two kind of run together. Here's our, I could probably make this a little bigger now. Okay, here's our daily and weekly programs. So basically the way I had drawn them on the board. So what it's saying is Monday through Friday, we're going to use plan 1. And it's going to run from 7 in the morning to 10 in the morning, 0700 to 10 in the morning. And then you'll notice down here, it'll say free operation all other times. So that's basically telling you from midnight to 7 a.m. we're free. And then from 10 o'clock to my next one is 1400 or 2 o'clock, 10 to 2 it's free. So the 10 o'clock would be 10 o'clock, 0004, because we're going to go to free. And then at 1400 or 2 o'clock, we're going to run plan 2, typically 211. And that's going to run until 1900, which is 7 o'clock at night. And we'll go back to 004 plan, which is free. And then we're not running a plan 3 during the weekends. Then we go to Saturday. We're only running plan 3. And we're running from 0800, 8 in the morning, to 1800, which is 6 p.m. at night. So that's a long cycle. And then we're also running on Sundays from 8 to 18. So the plan is the same for Saturday and Sunday. And then flash operation for emergency only. So we don't have any nighttime flash. As I told you, we kind of get away from that because we have working detection everywhere. And then over here, we have our coordination chart. So it tells us we got the 3 plans, 1, 2, and 3, as listed over here, 1, 2, and 3. We have the cycle lengths. So these are kind of odd cycle lengths. Not sure, I can already tell some of them aren't going to fit to, so we're going to actually have to lengthen these out a little bit. So 51 seconds, 77, 71 seconds. Typically, consultants like to round it to the nearest 5, 75, 80, 85. So I can already tell these are going to be a little bit off. The offsets are all at 0. Typically, when you see a 0 offset, you're usually at the master location. So all the locals feed off of what the master is doing. And then like right here, split phase 1 is a 1. I'm going to assume that that's a typo because 5 is 11. That should have been 11. And we'll see how that calculates out when we do the programming. And then the coordinated phase, they always tell you is 2 and 6. So that's where we're going to hold all our extra time. Everything is going to be based around 2 and 6. We scroll over here, and then we have, we have some coordination notes. It's going to give us a little more information on the mode that we're using. So basically it tells us all entries are in seconds. Like I said, sometimes they do them in percentages. Ours are in seconds. The cycle force source shall be in effect. So basically we're not using floating force source, we're using cycle. Permissive coordination will be in effect. So we're not using yield, we're using permissive. Split times equal green plus clearances. So that's how they basically just telling us a split time is min green plus yellow plus red. And then inhibit max term shall be in effect during coordination. So that's the mode that we're going to use, and I can go over it where it was max 1, max 2, and inhibit term. So we're going to be using that. 2 and 6 call not actuated during coordination, so that's the CNA. There are coordinated phases. So when we're in 2 and 6, in coordination, the detection is not working. If it's 40 seconds, in this case, they are showing it as 20 seconds, so you get guaranteed of 20 seconds regardless of there's 1 car or 50 cars there. And then the last one is the beginning of the offset, set to beginning of 2 and 6 green. So we can go in there and make that the beginning or the end. So this is where we get all our information on how to put everything in there. And then one of the last things is the preemption, phasing, and priority. So basically it'll tell you the detector priority, D1, 2, 3, and 4. That's the little black 711 or 722 detector that's up on a mast arm or a span that's pointing towards a particular approach. So in this case, detector 1 is going to be preempt 1. It shows you the movement, and the phasing is 1 and 6. So basically, I believe that's southbound. And then detector 2 is preempt 2, and that's going to be northbound is 2 and 5. Detector 3 is preempt 3, that's going to be 4, and then 4 is going to be 8. And then there was some preempt notes up here. So right in the middle, it tells us the preempt notes. These are all basically generic. Basically, it just tells you, basically it's going to be received by the optical emitter. Everything's going to be, the hierarchy is just going to be 1 through 6. It'll tell you what it wants, minimum 10-second time for each one, minimum green, preemption strobe. So we also have confirmation beacons. The strobe will come on when the preempt's on. The preemption shall override the coordination. If we're in coordination, a preempt comes, we drop right out and go service it. The contractor is responsible for identifying the best locations. For contractors out there or anybody that does their own work, when they put any type of detector, whether it be a video camera, GTT, preemption detector, anything like that, they're marking it on the plans and what they feel is the best place possible. If you're up there on the mast arm and you look at this and it looks absolutely terrible, if you don't want to make that decision, bring it to somebody else's attention. Don't knowingly put something in a bad place that you don't think is going to work. If you're the one who's up there, I'm not, the consultant's not up there, as a supplier, I'm not up there, you're the one in the bucket. If you can see where something's going to be in the way, and if I move it 3 feet to the right, it's going to be better, then try to get somebody's permission to do it, or at least note it, so then when it comes out, you can explain why, document it, why you put it in that place. We all want it to work the best place that we can, and these things are easily changeable, because we don't want to be putting extra drill holes and running cable in these arms. They cost a lot of money. So everything that's mounted on a mast arm is always subject to a little bit of flexibility, especially when it comes to common sense. Signals, they have to be certain spacing. So maybe if you move one, you may have to move the other. Just keep that in the back of your head. But anything on a mast arm can be adjusted for better performance. All right, so I think that basically covers everything. If I go back to my camera, so a lot of what I just talked about over here, I kind of set my little diagram. This is what we've been looking at for the past couple of weeks. So I have my 1 and 6, my 2 and 5. So it's Canning Boulevard, Rhode Island Ave, and then Tucker Street is 4 and 8. Again, here's my 2 ped, here's my 6 ped running concurrently, my 4 ped over here, and my 8 ped over here. Okay, that's all there. So that means when the vehicles comes on, a ped comes on. If somebody hits the button, that comes on with the vehicle. Nobody hits the button, the ped won't come on. All right. When we're under coordination, 2 and 6 ped are gonna, if we're in non-actuated mode, these peds are gonna rest and walk while we're in 2 and 6, while we're in this 2 and 6 time over here. All right. If somebody wants to take that off, then we would go into permissive yield or the fully actuated mode. So then we don't rest and walk during the coordination. But that wasn't on the notes, so we're going to assume that they wanted to rest and walk. I added in some of the timing up here. You'll see where I have, ring 1, 11 seconds, 20 seconds on 2 and 6, 20 seconds on 4 and 8, 20 plus 20 plus 11 equals that 51 seconds. I can already tell those numbers aren't going to be enough because of what I'm already looking at for the split time, so I can show you how we adjust that on the fly. Basically, we're running permissive coordination. Our offset is 0, 2 and 6 are our coordinated phases. So we've covered everything basically on the plan. I set up the preemption chart over here. So 1 and 6 is preempt 1, preempt 2 is 2 and 5, 4 is 3, phase 8 is D4. So basically everything that we've been showing to, basically I just translated off of the plan. All right. So if nobody has any questions, we'll go right into programming the controller. So I'm going to kind of toggle back and forth between, I'll get rid of this screen. And we'll bring up this guy, which you used to look for. So I'm going to try to get this. Let me get this. I had this the other day. All right. Bear with me. Let me get rid of this right now. So, try to do this on the same screen for you guys. We don't need the bottom of the screen. We just need the top. My controller screen I'm talking about. All right. So for timing purposes, all right, so now we're at the controller, all right? So, bear with me, try to get a drink of water. No questions, Wayne? All right. All right, so first thing, like I always say to everybody, we would go to utilities, go to 4 for low default, 1 for default. I would put an E there. See where it says down below, it says E to low default. I put an E and I default the machine. I'm not going to default. I already defaulted mine. I don't want it because then I'll lose this connection. So I put E for enter and we just defaulted. Okay. So now we're going to start. We're going to go right into phase data. So now this is where I'm only going to be hitting the screens where I actually have to input data. So I'll go to phase data. So I'm going to go to vehicle. I'm going to go to vehicle times. So if we look up the top, basically, I zero out anything that I'm not using. So I got 6 for phase 2. Basically, every other one is a 6. Okay. I have my cursor over here. So wherever my cursor is the line of information that we're putting in right there. So I'm going to do 2 with there's an automatic decimal point right there, so that feeds it in there. So 2.1, and then my 4 is going to be, oh, I'm sorry, I already messed this up. You add in my 1 and 5s. Okay, that's better. All right. Well, 2.1 for 6, and then we have 2.9 for 2. We don't have a 3. We have a 4, which is 2.1. 5 is 2.4. 6 is 2.9. Nothing for 7. And 8 is 2.1. Okay, let's double check that. Looks good. All right. Now we're going to go do our maximum green time. So we have 15 seconds, 25 seconds, 0 for 3. 30 seconds, 15 seconds, 25 seconds, 0 for 7, and 30 seconds. Now, here's something that's optional for you guys. So if you'll notice on this line, max 2, it says it's all zeroed out. There's no timing on this line, okay? You can zero the whole thing out. Because technically we're not using it for anything. My general rule of thumb, the way I've always done it, is I just copy it to whatever the max 1 time is. Because what I find is, and the reason that it's not included is strictly for the coordination. So with coordination, we're using inhibit max, meaning we're not using max 1 or max 2. So the consultant chose to zero out the max 2. We're not in coordination all the time. So I always like to put the max 2 time in there, because in the event that you ever want to go to max 2 at some other time and put in the time of day, or maybe you want to change the coordination to max 2, the timing is already in there. I'd rather have, again, the CPAC likes when it has data values in there that are not equal to 0. So if I put it in there, it's just a value that's in there. You may never use it, but it's in there. It doesn't hurt anything to have it in there. So I prefer to have these things populated. So I recommend putting them in there. If you don't put it in there, it'll still work. I recommend you put it in there because, again, we're not running coordination all the time. Now we'll go to our yellows. Our yellows go 30. It's already at 4. So now here's the thing. I can't, technically, as a habit, I just make the unused ones 3. I can leave them at 4. Basically, I can't zero that out. There actually is a way in the controller for a specific application that you can zero it out. But I typically, again, always like to leave that in there. That yellow time I'm talking about. All right. Now we go to walk time. So we have 3 seconds of walk and 1. We're in the red interval. So we have 1 second in the main street. I can zero the red out for the unused in 3 and 7. 4 is also 3. So it looks like all my side streets and my left turns are 3, and my main lines are 1. Okay, so everything looks good there. So again, I'm using 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6, and 8. Not using 7, so we zero those out. So we hit the F key. I go into recalls. If I scooch this down a little bit, right there, you'll see right above 2 and 6, right? You'll see where it says 2 and 6 are on soft recall. So we'll make those a 4. Okay. Bring this back up for you guys. Know what that looks like. Click the F key. Okay, we're done with the vehicle data. Hit F again, right? Our density times, we're not using anything. We don't have to go to that screen. Now we'll go to our PED times. So we go to PED 1. So again, the default that we put in there, you'll see where it came up defaulted 2, 4, 6, and 8, and it's at 7 and 8. So in this instance, right, our PEDs are, all of our PED times are actually defaulted to 7. All our walks are 4, 7, so we can leave them. And then our don't walks, we just need to change. We'll go 14. We'll go 9. We'll go 7. And we'll go 10. Now, why are they all different, you're asking? They're all crossing the same street. So the consultant, again, calculated his formula, 3.5 feet per second, and basically said, okay, 2 and 6, the walk times, 2 and 6, the walk and the don't walk is crossing the side streets. So it's always possible if the side streets, one's wider than the other. So one might be a 2-lane, one might be a single lane. So that's why those times can be off. 4 and 8, which crosses the main line, typically the main line is usually the same distance on both sides. So it's odd that those are off by a second. It could have been the formula. Again, it's one of those things, I'm going to leave it what it says per plan. So per the plan, I'm going to just put it in what it is. I would make a notation at some point. If I was out there to the contractor, the consultant, maybe just want to check these times out. But again, I have to put in what's in the plan, so I can't overthink it at this point in time. We'll go back in there, and then we'll go to our miscellaneous options, and we'll put in our, this doesn't matter too much because they're concurrent PEDs that run with the vehicle times, but we're going to put in our code 2, so that means that the flashing don't walk and the yellow clearance are going to run together. Okay, so we don't have any recalls, we don't have to worry about that, so we're done with our PEDs. Now we're going to go into our vehicle initialization. This is where we turn our phases on and off that we're using. So 2 and 6 is our midline. So this is where we want to, if we look down at the code, so the code says 4 is green. We're going to reinitialize when we come out of flash into 2 and 6 green. We're not using 3, so we're going to turn that off. We're going to turn 7 off. Non-actuator response. Oops. We're not using that, so we can just zero that out. Oop, and I finger went way too fast. Put all that crap back in. Okay. So 2 and 6. 2 and 6 is where we're reinitializing in mode in code 4, which is green, and then 1, 4, 5, and 8 are the other phases that we're using. They have 1s, and the inactive is inactive for initialization. Don't think of it as inactive on and off. Think of it as inactive for vehicle actuation. Actuation coming back on, and then 0. Think of the 0 or the none as on or off. So unused phases we turn on. All right, got that in there. Now we'll go to non-lock. So again, everything that we have full detection, everything is in non-locking memory. So we'll put 1s on our used phases. Oops. So that means that's basically where we're on full presence detection right now. Vehicle pulls up on the zone, inputs a call, vehicle drives off that zone, it drops the call. If I left these at all 0s, that would mean when a vehicle pulls up, just to review, if a vehicle pulls up on the zone, we input the call. When the vehicle drives off the zone, we still hold the call when we're not in the phase green. So we want to leave these on non-lock memory. All right. Remember in that note where it said dual entry, in here dual means 2. So just because they don't have enough space, we put 2 entry. We want to put 4 and 8 in 2 entry. What that's saying is if I get a call into 4, I'm going to also put a call into 8. If I get a call into 8, I'm also going to put a call into 4. So the 2 side streets, Tucker Street is always going to come up together. Okay, so that covers that. There's no special sequence. We'll go into the data, the vehicle detector. So right now, if I just hit the letter B, you'll see it's defaulted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have to go change this to what they want it to be. So I just got to move my screen around a little bit here. Let me scroll down to detection. All right. Okay. All right, so we got enough room here. All right, so you'll see right there, it says vehicles 1 through 8. Should all look familiar to you guys. Vehicle detector 1, so all I'm gonna do is just line up whatever it is supposed to be. So if I look over here, my detector zone 1, right here is supposed to be a 6. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna zero out what's there and just put a 1 under the 6. Now I've now changed that channel. Again, here's the difference. Channels and phases. I'm changing the channel to be phase 6, to call phase 6. Everything else is where it's supposed to be. I don't have any delays. So I just hit the F key to get back. And then I go to 2, same thing. I'm going to zero it out. That's also going to be a 6. Done. And away we go. We go to 3. So that's going to be a 1. So I'm going to hit the 1, take that out. We'll go to 4. So this looks like it's going 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 1, 6. So we'll make this a 6. Oops. Obviously, I'm going faster than you guys will do, but take your time. Make sure it's all in there right. You always want to zero out whatever you're not using. So you notice I'm putting the 2 in, but I'm taking the 5 out also. Going to 6. That's also going to be a 2. 7. Where am I at? 7. That's a 5. I go to 8. 8's going to be a 2. It looks like these it looks like they have bike loops. These last ones, it looks like they have bike loops. That's why it's kind of goes 6616, so I'm throwing those in on the side. Okay, so I did vehicles 1 through 8, so obviously I don't have any more. So I gotta hit F, and now I go hit number 2 for 9 through 16. So you'll see it still goes 1 through 8 on the left, but it's telling you that it's 9, 10, 11, and 12 on the right. That's how it kind of keeps you in line. So I want to do vehicle channel 9, but I have to hit the number 1, and then everything will tell me it's 9 at this point. So this is going to be an 8. And you'll notice these are all zeros because we don't assign any defaults beyond number 8. So, but all the other data is there what we wanted to do. Hit the F, and then we'll hit 2 for number 10, and we'll make that a 4. Okay. I will get out of that. So now if I go into my overview, the B, now you'll see that this matches up per my line. So my first 4 goes 6616. This goes 6616. Then I go 2252. I go 2252. And if I go down, I just have 8 and 4. And actually, I can already see where I made a little mistake. My 8 is correct, but if you look at my 4, for some reason they're calling this detector 13. So I'm going to go back in and change this. If I move the cursor to a 10 and I hit enter, it'll bring me back over there. So all I'm going to do is just zero this out, right? And then I will go over here to 13 because it's calling it. It's calling it 13. I'm not sure why it wants it on 13. This is one of those things where I may not be able to do this in 13 because if depending on what video detection card, if I don't have access to all 64 channels and I'm only using it per channel per processor card, I may have to leave it on 10 because I just can't get to 13 from there. But for argument's sakes and what they have on the plan, I'll put it over here on 13. F. Now it just kind of matches up 1 through 9, 1 through 9, and then, like I said, the oddity here is 13. Channel 13 is a 4. So I have all my vehicle channels in there, and then 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 I'm not using, so that's why they don't have anything in there. We hit the F key. Let's go check out our PEDs. So we hit the number 9, PEDs 1 through 8. And actually we'll do it this way. If I hit the F key and I hit B for boy, over here, the overview. This is a nice newer screen that they added in 358. If I just arrow down, see how it does my vehicles? It'll take me through all the vehicles. And then it brings me to my PEDs. So it's telling me that my PED phases, PED detectors 1 through 8, up here are assigned to vehicles because that's the default 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And since I'm running 4 concurrent PEDs, we don't have to touch any of the programming in the screen. But I always want to check it just to make sure that those are all populated. So that's our detection. So we'll hit the F key as the screen's moving backwards. That's me just hitting the F key. Phase and bank copy, I don't have to do anything. Select phase bank, I don't have to do anything. So we've completed the unit data. So the unit data, that took like 10 minutes to do, okay? So now, the phase data. So now we'll go into unit data number 4. Startup miscellaneous, don't have to do anything. 6 seconds is there for my startup time, that's fine. Hit the F key, we'll go to 2 for remote flash. So even though we're not doing any kind of nighttime flash, we'll put something in there. So again, if you look at the code, right, 1 is red, 2 is yellow. So phase 1 is the left turn, that flash is red. Phase 2 flash is yellow. 4 is red, 5 is red, 6 is yellow, oops. 8 is red. And then this basically just says, I'm gonna make these guys opposite flash. So basically, when the reds are on, the yellows are off. When the yellows are on, the reds are off. And I typically just do that for the main line. Hit the F, and then we'll go to entry and exit. So if we were doing nighttime flash, again, I just put it in there because it's in there, and if you ever need it. Nighttime flash, we talked about that. Basically, that's when the controller goes into flash at a predetermined time set through the time-based scheduler. So basically, we're gonna enter flash on the side street. So in this case, whatever the side street is in the sequence, so it's 4 and 8. And then when it was time to come out of flash, we come out in the main line, which is 2 and 6. So we enter flash on the side street, we exit flash on the main line. So that's in there. Right? Overlap data. I don't have any overlaps. There's no overlaps identified in the sequence. So we don't need to put anything in this overlap screen, so we can just get out of that. Same thing, peer-to-peer, we're not doing any peer-to-peer, we don't have to go into there. Now we go into our ring structure, right? We spent a whole bunch of time on ring structure. So again, I talked about it. You know, I've had a couple of guys keep calling me about ring structure and what's going on. So I don't have to, try not to touch the ring structure as little as you have to, right? It's in there, it's all defaulted in there. So if we look, I'm right below the ring structure right here, okay? So I got 1, 2, 4. So basically I'm going 1 to 2 to 4 and back to 1. And then I'm going 5 to 6 to 8 and back to 5. Now again, in review, I'm not using 3 and 7. But just because I'm not using them, leave them in the ring structure. We've turned those phases off in initialization. Let's leave them in the ring structure. So technically for this sequence, you're going to see that the default ring structure matches exactly what we want to do. So we have phase 1, ring 1, 2 next. And it's compatible with 5 and 6. So we look over here, we have phase 1. Phase 1 can be on with 5. Phase 1 can be on with 6. We don't have to touch that. Phase 2, ring 1, 3 next. Phase 2 can be on with 5. Phase 2 can be on with 6. That's our compatibility right here that we have. Now, we're not using phase 3, but it says 3, ring 1, 4 next, and compatible with 7, 8. We're not using it, leave it in there, don't touch it. And then 4, ring 1, 1 next, and it's compatible with 7 and 8. I don't have a 7 and 8, I have an 8, that's fine. So that just did our 1 to 2 to 4 and back to 1, right? Same thing, now we're going to do the lower half, ring 2. Let me do my, oops. Just draw this back in there for you guys. Okay. So I should have had it before. So now we're doing ring 2, right? Ring 2, 5 to 6 to 8, and then back to 5. So here we are, phase 5, ring 2, 6 next. We're compatible with 1 and 6. If I come over here, I find a 5. Oh, 5 can be on with 1, 5 can be on with 2. That's where the 5 compatibility is with 1 and 2. That's what that's representing. Phase 6, we're in ring 2 because we're down here. 7's next. We don't have a 7, but we're going to leave it in there. And we're going to say 6 is compatible with 1 and 2. 6 is on with a 2, 6 is on with a 1. Here's our 2 compatibilities here. Here's our 2 compatibilities there. Right? 7, we're not using it. It's turned off, but we're going to leave it in the ring structure. And then here's 8. That's the last part of the ring. So we're going to go to 5 next. Right? Here's the 5 going, here's the 8 going back to the 5. And then here's the compatibility, 8 and 4. 8 and 4, we're not using 3, we're going to leave it in there anyway. And if I went down one more, you'll notice we're not using 9, which is commonly our exclusive PED. We're not using it in there. So that's why, that's the beauty of the default. I didn't have to touch that ring structure. I just double checked it, hit F, and now we just move it along. Alt sequence, not using the port IO. So now, if we were using, so typically it's a TS2 cabinet, this is where we'd have to turn on the BIUs. So basically I'll turn them on, and right as soon as I turn them on, right? So we're running right here. As soon as I turn these guys on, you're going to see we're going to go to flash, but just to show you, that's about the thing right there. So these, the BIUs, these are the units on the back panel. There's 2 of them on the back panel, an upper one, a lower one. and one in the rack. We just finished the videos for the TS1 versus TS2. I'll send those out later today, so you can kind of review those as well. But I have to turn these on. See, as soon as I hit a 1, I got cabinet diagnostic flash, no exit. So I'm going to turn on my 2 back panels. And then my detector rack one, I got to turn that on. And I got to turn on my MMU and my controller unit. Some people don't turn on the controller unit. It still runs, but if you don't turn it on, you don't get all the alarms. That's why we turn it on. So I just turned on those 5 things. In a TS2 environment, I have to turn those on to start the communication over that SDLC bus. That's all the cables that are plugged into each devices. For purposes of today, because we're running TS1, I don't need all these guys. I'm going to turn them back off. And you'll see the controller is restarting. Start flash, 3, 2, 1. Boom, we're back into TS1 mode, okay? So TS2, which is what the majority of what you guys have, you have to turn it on in the screen. But in TS1, we just ignore the screen. We don't need it. And then output mapping, okay? I hit the E key. You'll see it says E toggle mode. Had a long conversation with a student on this the other day. Round and round and round we went. I think he finally understands it, and that's fine. I'll keep going around and around as many times as we have to go on the merry-go-round until you understand it, because that's the purpose of this class, and that's how you guys want to learn. So I hit the E. You'll see it says toggle mode. It just shows you the phase 1 red, yellow, and green. Phase 1 red, phase 1 yellow, phase 1 green. So basically, what I have to do is, this is defaulted the way it goes. All I'm going to do is, again, in the TS2 mode, I have to turn off the ones I'm not using. So I'm not using a phase 3. I make it a 0, none. Okay, 4, 5, and 6 I have. 7, 0, none. 8, we're good. And because I have the 4 concurrent PEDs, I can leave these right there they are. 2, 4, 6, and 8, because those are my PEDs, 2, 4, 6, and 8. So I don't even have to touch this. Again, the beauty of the default, it minimizes the program that we have to do because it puts it all in there. Now, in TS2, right, I do have to default the ones that I'm not using. So these overlap ones, we'll get out of here. Basically, I turn off everything else that I'm not using. Don't worry about those down there. Okay, now I go back over. And then the FIO, the field input output, I can just leave these the same. We're not using these right now in TS2 because everything is done through the program. Then I would hit the F key, and it's going to say abort with no change, back up and edit, accept and edit. I like what I did. I'm going to hit accept and edit. If you do something wrong here, you won't get the accept and edit. All right. So now you'll notice that my controller is running the phase timing and the unit data that we programmed into it. And one of the big things you'll notice is down here, you'll notice that I have omits on 3 and 7. Basically because they're not part of the sequence, so they are turned off. And that's how we know that they're turned off, because they have omits. And then obviously 9 through 16 we're not using. Those are also omitted as well. Okay. Okay. So at this point, we've programmed enough to get that controller running. The controller's running with the timing that it's supposed to be per plan, and it's doing, let me go to, bear with me for a second here. Come back to my video here. All right. So basically, we've programmed this whole sequence of operation with all the time for each phase. We've assigned all the vehicle assignment in there, and also the PED assignment. This is the one thing, so between the phase data and the unit data, that's what you have to program to get that intersection to run. So you're basically 75% through the process right now because you're running signals. We're out of flash, we're running signals. It's much safer now. This is what a lot of you guys are good at. This is what you like to do. And then you guys watch it for 15 minutes and then you close the door and you say, all right, we're out of here. But what I'm trying to get you guys to do is do the last 25% of it. So then all the programming is complete. So we'll go back. So what the last 25% is, we'll just keep following the steps of what we're doing. So we're going to go right to the coordination data. So I can line up my screens for you guys. Let's see. Might be able to get this in there. Yeah, I can get pretty much all of it in there. Okay. So now if I go to 5 for coordination data, basically I go into my setup mode. So if you remember the notes that we were talking about earlier, I do 1 for auto. We're running permissive mode, so I can leave this at a 0. We're running the inhibit max, which is INH, so we make that a 0. It doesn't tell me what the short way is, or the correction method. So our default is generally 2 for the short way. We're running, the offset is beginning of green. We're doing the plan force off, so we leave those at 0. And then the max dwell and the yield period, again, these are default ones that we generally put in at, 20 and 6. So now if I go back to, let me slide the screen over. If I slide this over, yeah. So here's my plans over here, my notes. So cycle force off. Oh, I stand corrected. They want cycle, so we have to put in a 1 for cycle. Again, typically the permissive runs with the plan. You know, just another question, another something that I kind of question on here, but we'll put it in the way they want it. The permissive coordination mode will be in effect, right? I'm in permissive because I'm in 0. Inhibit max termination, I got my inhibit max. And then offset is beginning of green. My offset is beginning of green. So all the chord setup is under the coordination general notes. That's where I got that information from. So it's all that information is all there on the plan for you. The F key, slide this back over to the timing. Now I'm going to go to 3 for dial split and offset. You'll see dial split, so I'm going to go 1, 1, the level. This is where I would put my offset in. And if you'll notice right here, my offset has 0s for all 3 cycles, so I don't even have to go to that screen because the default is 0. So with the F key, toggle back around and we'll go to level 2, which is our splits. So this is what we have to do. This is where I noticed that we got a little bit of math discrepancies. Looking at my chart here. So I can't show everything on the screen, but right there, it's telling me that I have, so if I put in, split 1 really should be 11, right? And you notice it says out of range, press E to return. So you hit the E key. What that means is I don't have enough time in that split. So the split, if I add up, and now I can go back and show you, the green, the yellow, and the red, the green was 6, the yellow was 3, the red was 3. So 6 plus 3 plus 3 is 12. So we'll try 12, see what we get. Oh, so now you're saying, well, you put in 12, but it wasn't 12. This is where the Siemens coordinator likes to see that extra second to make that decision. So if we put in 13, 13 is acceptable. So it kind of defaults it. You try to put your own time in there, and basically it's going to tell you either it's a go or a no-go. So again, the minimum green for phase 1 is 6, plus the 3 seconds of yellow, plus the 3 seconds of red. 6 plus 3 plus 3 is 12. And then I need 1 more second for decision-making purposes. Now that's important because that extra, again, the plans over here show this to be a 1, but it's supposed to be 11. So we've added 2 seconds. So now I have to account for 2 seconds. It means I got to take it out of somewhere else. So now we go to phase 2. So phase 2 is telling me that it's supposed to be 20 seconds. So I'll put in 20, right? All right, it's gonna take the 20. The problem with that is my green and walk and red is 6 plus 4 plus 1 equals 10 seconds. So you're like 10 seconds, that says 20, we should be fine. The problem is we have concurrent PEDs. We have to account for the longer of the two. So my concurrent PEDs are 7 seconds of walk, 14 seconds of don't clearance, and 1 second of red. So 7 plus 14 plus 1 is 22. So now I'm short by 2 seconds. So really, I have to make that 22 seconds. We'll see how that works. We don't have a 3, and we have a 4. So 4 says that it's 20 seconds. So we run into the same problem again. Oh, I stopped writing it down. Let me go. Let me just go back. I didn't write down what the phase 4 time was. Sorry about that. So if I come over here to the phase 4 time, right? Here's phase 4. My phase 4 time is 7 to 9. 7 to 9, and my time is 6, 3, and 3. So 12 seconds, 7 to 9 is, yeah, wherever the red was. So 7 and 9 and 3 is 19 seconds. Okay. So what I was doing right there was calculating 7 plus 9 plus 3, that equals 19 seconds. So I need 19 seconds for my phase 4 PED. In my phase 8 PED, while I'm looking at it, I need 7 plus 10 plus 2.5, or round it up to 3 because we round everything up. So I actually need 20 seconds for phase 8. Go back down. This is how I know where these split times aren't really what I need them to be. Okay, so the 20 seconds looks like it'll work for 4, right? And then 5, again, it had that 11. We put it in there, it's gonna tell me no. So I'm just gonna make it 13 because 1 is 13. And then 6 had the lesser of the PEDs, so we'll make that 22 also. And then we'll make 8, 20. Okay. Now, we have to do a mode, which is we look down at the mode, coordinated phase, it goes 0 to 7, AP, accelerated phase being 0, CP being coordinated phase. So we have to put 2 and 6 at 0 at 1. So that means they're the coordinated phase. So now if I look at this and I add up, if I add up 1, 2, and 4, right, that's my ring 1. That's 42 and 13 is 55. So if I go back over here, my cycle length is 55 seconds. So the original cycle length over here is 51 seconds, but due to all the minimums that I have to meet, really this should be at 55. And then one thing I think I mentioned before is the way the coordinator works in the Siemens controller is whatever the sum total is of 1 and 2 should equal what the sum total is of 5 and 6. So that's why when I had to make 1 of 13, I just made 5 of 13, and then 2 and 6 of 22. So they both add up to 35. Now the sum total of the two, they don't have to be identical. So this could be, so they're gonna equal 35, this could be 15, this could be 20. So that equals 35. As long as the sum total of 1 and 2 equals 5 and 6, it'll work. The numbers don't have to match. Just that the 20 wouldn't work there. It's tough because I'm right on the cusp of where I need to be, so it's tough to demonstrate that. But just remember, 1 and 2 have to equal 5 and 6 for the coordination to work. Okay, so we're gonna go with 55-second cycles for cycle 1. All right, so we got that in there. So now we're gonna put in cycle 2. So it's a little easier here because it says we have a 77-second cycle. So now we could probably use the timing that they have in there. So we'll do 13, 32, nothing in 3, and 4 is 32. So those numbers look pretty good. And then we'll go to 5 is 16. So here's a good way to demonstrate it. And then 6 is 29 and 32. Okay, and then we'll put in our 2 and 6, our coordinated phase. So if you look at it here, 1 plus 2, 13 plus 32 is 45. If you look at 5 and 6, 16 plus 29 is also 45. So they both equal 45, but the numbers don't line up exactly. So now we go back out of here, and we have our 70-second cycling. So that worked. And then we'll do cycle 3. Cycle 3 is, again, it's 12 seconds. We're going to make it 13. So again, where I said the numbers have to balance, I'll make this a 30 because it says 30 on the plan. Oops. Try to put time in 3, we're not using it. 4 is 29. 5 is 16. 6 is 26. And is 29. Put in our coordinated phases. So now when I hit the F, you'll see that over here it says 71 seconds. But over here it says 72 because I had to add the second for this 12 over there. I had to make it 13. So what I got to do is I got to take a second away somewhere so I fit into that. So 1 plus 2 now is 2 is 42. And 5 and 6 is 42. So you see how I had to balance that out? So now I go back and I got my 71-second cycling. So I just programmed my 3 cycling. So not very hard. When you have a shorter one, sometimes you got to kind of fudge the numbers a little bit. And if you got to go a little higher, you got to go a little higher. The one thing is though, if you go a little higher at one intersection, you got to do that at the other intersection. So if there was 3 intersections here, everybody would be running a 55-second cycle 1. It's the only way that would work. So we just put our coordination in, okay? Now we'll go put our time base in. So first thing we want to do is we want to make sure our date and time are correct. So I look at my watch here and I'm looking pretty good at, I think I'm off by a second here. 24 and looks like 15 seconds. Okay, so that's in there. I do my dates right. Do my daylight savings, 3, 2, 11, 1. And I set the clock, the cycle 0 reference to 2400. So I just put out set my time. Now it's accurate for my coordination. It's accurate for my all my alarms and events that I'm doing. Okay, now we go to 3 for traffic events. Just hit E for enter. So now I have my, slide my screen over. Oh, I don't want to write in the taskbar. All right. Okay. So what we'll do here is I like to start with the days. So remember, day 1 is Sunday, day 7 is Saturday. So I look at Sunday and it says 8 to 18. So I want to look at my overwrite. So it says 1 for add. So I'll do 1 and my day 1, 0, 1. And I'm going to do 0800 311. Enter. So what that was day 1. Hey, come back. So I did day 1 at 08 in the morning. And it's cycle 311. So I just entered it. So we turn in coordination on Sundays at 8 o'clock. So now I got to turn the coordination off at 1800. So I'm going to add 1. I'm already in day 1, so I can arrow over. And I'm going to do 18 00 004 enter. So now I'm turning on at 8 in the morning and I'm turning off at 1800, okay? Now I'm gonna go do Monday through Friday. So I'm gonna do 1 for add, 02 for day 2, and now we start coordination at 0700, and we're doing cycle 111. Okay, so now I got cycle, so I got 7s in there. Now I gotta turn it off at 10 o'clock. So we're gonna add another day. I'm already on day 2, which is Monday. I can leave it there. And then we're gonna make it 10 o'clock, 004, enter. So you notice it keeps writing over itself and then it adds it in, writes over and adds it in. All right, now I gotta add plan 2, which comes on at 1400. So again, 1 for add, arrow over, 1400, and we do 211, enter. And then we'll shut it off at 1900. 1 for add, day 2 is fine, 1900, 004, enter. All right, so now we have Tuesdays, right? So we come on at 7 o'clock, 111, we shut off at 10 in the morning, go to free. We come back on at 2 o'clock, 211, and we shut off at 1900. So now I just need to add Saturday. So we do 107, because it's Saturday, that's the last day of the week. And we do 0800, 311, enter. And then we do the turnoff time. Stay at 07, we go 1800, enter. Okay, so now we have day 1, day 2, and day 7. So to save a little bit of programming, if I hit the F key twice, I go to 6 for equate. So you'll see where it says code, equate or 0, a quarter transfer. I want to equate, enter. And Saturday is the same as Sunday. Well, I put them both in there, so we'll just leave it like that. So we'll do from day 2, which is Monday, hit enter, and then I'm going to copy it to the other days of the week. So 3 is Tuesday, 4 is Wednesday. Oops, sorry. Oop, let me clear that up. So copy 2 to 3, enter, 4, enter, 5, enter, 6, enter. So what I did was I programmed it for day 2, which is Monday, and then instead of programming individually, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I just transferred it or equated it to 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now I hit the F key, I go back into 3 for traffic events, enter, and you'll see now it's copied into all the other days of the week. It came up on day 3 because today is Tuesday, which is day 3. Sunday is day 1, Monday is day 2, and day 3. So it just saves you a little bit of programming. It just keeps copying it all over. All right, so now we just put our time of day in there. So now we basically said, hold on, got out of this. So now we put in all our phase and unit data, we put in our coordination, we put in our time of day, we're rocking and rolling. We got one more thing to do and we're done. Slide this over a little bit more. All right. So the last thing that we got to put in is our preemption. So we go to C for preemption, right? So we got 4 preempts that we got to put in. So here's preempt 1. We go to 1 for miscellaneous, right? We got our 248 in there. We're gonna do our max call, which is 120 seconds. It's just basically a default. We do our 1 for an extend, basically just as an ocean state thing that we do. It just extends it for 1 more second. So the first preempt that we're gonna do is gonna call 1 and 6. It doesn't tell us where to return to, so we're gonna return to the side streets. So we're gonna exit in 4 and 8. And we're going to have calls on all the used phases. As it designates us what to do here, when it doesn't, then we just call all the used phases. So when we come out of a preempt, we're going to go to 4 and 8, and we'll have calls on all the other phases that are active. Yeah, We go to interval times. We'll make those two 5. The dwell green is 10. That's how much we want to stay in the preamp. We'll leave that as 10. Go the PED for 1 and 6. So the PED clearance, again, this is when we're going into the PED clearance, this is what we want it to be. And I believe, I think it was 9 seconds. So whatever 6 PED clearance was is 9. So we'll put it at 9. Now here's the track clearance. Again, we don't have railroad tracks. Be sure to zero this out. Otherwise, this will delay how your preemption actually is running. And then I always match up these 2 times. So whatever the select PED clear is, I make my return PED clear then. I think it's 9 seconds here, so this is what we'll, without looking at it. And then our dwell status, we're going to do preamps 1 and 6, because this is what it's telling me over here, preamp 1 and 6. Now, be sure to go zero out your PEDs and your overlaps. Remember, we talked about this. We don't want our PEDs to go dark during preamps. We're going to zero out 1 through 8. I know it's a pain in the butt, but it defaults it. So some defaults help you, some defaults add information. And then 5, we'll zero out just the first 4. Okay. And so we just did preamp 1. Now we'll go to preamp 2 and we'll do the same thing. We go in, 120 seconds, 1 for the extend, go down, the preamp is 2 and 6. So again, we're gonna exit to the side street. Come on. Not used to doing this on a laptop. So we got that in there, make these 5, boom, boom, come over. So whatever the 2 PED I believe was 14. So we're gonna make that match, oops. That 14, enter, over. We're gonna zero out our track green. So there's a PED clearance of 14. If a 2 and 5 preamp come in and the PED, we're going to make sure we clear out that 14 seconds so people get safely across the street. And we'll go into our dwell. Where do we want to be? Those are the phases that the preamp wants to be in, 2 and 5. So we zero out our PEDs. And our first 4 overlaps. All right. 2 down, 2 to go. Okay, now we're doing the side street preamps. So we want to return to the main line. So the exit phases are going to be our main street. And I forget what we're going to say there, 10 seconds, whatever the clearance was. Oops. All right, so you got 5 min green, 5 min walk, dwell, and we get 10 seconds for our clearance. We go into 3, and it is just phase 4 because we don't have a left turn. F, zero out our PEDs. Hit the F key, go in 5 for overlaps, do the first 4 there, do the first 4 there, hit the F key, we got 1 more, hang in there boys, we got 1 more. See, it's very repetition, but this is how we learn how to do this, by doing the same thing over and over. So again, phase 8, we're going to return to the main line. There's no better teacher than this, what we're doing right here. You don't even have to think about it. Oops. 5, we'll just make it 10 because I don't remember what that pet is. Zero these guys out. We don't want to track clearance in there. We get the F, we go to vehicle status, and our last preempt is 8 because that's what it's telling me down here. The F key, zero out our ped. Zero out our ped. F, and we'll zero out our overlaps. All right. So now if we go back to our main status screen, we did our phase data, our unit data, our chord data, our time-based data, and our preempt data. And I would say that whole process took us about a half hour. And a lot of that was some explanation in there. So typically, once you get more familiar with it, and the more comfortable you get, I could probably program that whole thing in about 15 minutes. But a half hour is not a big deal. And then if you even use the software, it goes even faster if you use the tactics software to upload and download. But you got to know how to do it by hand first. Because that's you're not always going to have a laptop, you're not always going to have connectivity. So you got to be able to do this by hand, which is the purpose of the whole class. And then again, what we're doing today. So now if we look at this, and we'll go to 1 for active status and 7 for intersection, right? We can see right now that because I have detectors assigned, right? I'm sitting here resting in 4 and 8. And then we timed out the 4 and 8. So now we have soft recall. So now we're going to go to 2 and 6. So let's put everything on recall for now. And it's bringing up those hard calls on 4 and 8. If you remember when we did the class, because we had because we got detectors assigned in 9 and 13. So let's go to 1, 3, and just to see it cycle, we'll put everything on recall. I know I put 3 and 7 on there just to kind of get this thing going. Okay, so we have everything programmed. All right, so now we got everything programmed in here, and you remember we had to make a little bit of an adjustment here. We're gonna make those 13. We're gonna make these 22, and in turn that bump the whole thing up to 13 plus 22 plus 50 is 55. So our cycle 1 became 55 seconds to make the whole thing match. But we got our coordinated phase in there, 2 and 6. We get all our preamps in there. We get all the information in there to watch the intersection run. So right now it's 11:39. So we go back to our intersection screen. Let me line this back up to where it was before. You can see the whole thing. All right. You'll notice that down here we're running free operation because we're supposed to be free during the midday. So let's go to 5 for coordination, 1 for chord mode, and we'll force this into 2. We'll force it into coordination. We'll see how it runs. So I'll put that in a manual mode, and you notice that it'll say manual 111, and that starts counting down from 12 seconds. So if all goes well, this should run over to 55 seconds. All right, so it's going to sit at 0 because we've got to get back to our coordinated phase. So when we get to 2 and 6, then our timer should start running down. If it stays at 0, that means that we have a bad chord plan, and we probably violated a minimum somewhere, so we have to go back and check out to see what it is. So we'll see what happens when we get to 2 and 6. 2 and 6 comes on, boom, look at that. So it started at 55 seconds, so that means we met all our minimums for cycle 1, which is the one that we have on the board up here of 13, 22, and 20. So our calculations were correct. That just verifies that the 51 seconds they had on the plan didn't work, and we had to add a few extra seconds to get that to work. So we had to add 4 seconds to the cycle, 55 seconds, which is not an uncommon number, because there's another thing that they'll do, something called a double cycle or a half cycle. If you have an intersection, that has 8 phases, an intersection that has 8 phases, but then you have an intersection that only has like 2 phases, the 2 big intersections could run 110-second cycles, and you could run the smaller intersection, what they call a 55-second cycle. So we kind of run that twice to the other one's big full 110-second cycle, because they have all these phases to serve. So 55 actually isn't a bad number. It actually acts like it's a quicker way to get through the coordination. It's a little more efficient way. We don't use it a lot, but it's another tool in the tool bag, as they say. So we're looking at it here. So let's go now to our active status and our core timer screen. All right, so if you look at the core timer screen, on the left, it's showing 55 seconds and it's counting down. And then you'll see the adjust is at 6. So we're trying to get into step right now. So we're 6 seconds. So technically 55 seconds, they had to add 6 seconds to try to get this thing into step. So maybe by the time we come back around to 0 again, that adjust will go to 0, and we will be what they call in step. All the coordination is exact. The offset is exact to what it's supposed to be doing. And we'll see 3, 2, 1. We'll see if it adjusts. And boom, look at that. Worked out well. So we adjust. So we are completely in step right now. This intersection is doing exactly what it's supposed to do from a coordination standpoint. Hopefully it's matching up with the volume of vehicles that we have out there. But that's what it takes. So I wanted to go programming from starting at 0, going all the way to 10 with, we had to do a bit of programming in each spot. Again, you guys are good at doing phase data and unit data, trying to get you better at doing chord, time base, and preemption. Because if you're gonna, with your stuff that's out there, you might as well get everything programmed, and that's where all the data is available on the plan sheet, as we went over, and that's where we get it from. So we actually put printouts in there. I understand it's a report that we add in every intersection. They're not the greatest things. You can kind of get most of the information out of them. The older reports, for those that use Siemens Eagle controllers back in the M40s, the M10s, those were great reports because it copied the screen exactly. The reports today, they try to squeeze it into less pages, and it just makes it a little harder to find the information. We're hoping for new reports to come out soon as we advance in software revisions, so that information will be a little easier for folks to read. Covered a lot, excuse me, a ton of information. A lot of it I hope was review. Right now, I don't know if anybody has any questions about something I may have covered. Again, drop stick. Basically, that took about an hour and 45 minutes to go through everything. Just watching it kind of cycle through here. One thing we can do is I'll go in and place a preamp call into one of the preamps. So if I go into preamp 1 in a miscellaneous and I arrow over up to test and I hit a 1, that'll put us into a preamp. You see down below we went into a preamp. I'll go back to 3 for the preamp timers. You'll see it counting down the dwell green time down to 0, and then the return yellow is counting down, and then a return red. And once that goes, then we should drop out of the preamp. So you'll notice that we're in the lockout when we return to 4 and 8. So the preamp was to 1 and 6, but we return to the 4 and 8. You should see what the ons are. And then the X's is up. We have calls everywhere else. So we're gonna service everybody else out of there. So we know that our preamps are working. If I go into my reports, it's not gonna show me anything because I'm not hooked up. It's got a few things in there. It's basically just telling me the EEPROM initialize, that's me playing with the keypad. No cord, cam free. The diagnostic, TS2A1, that was me turning frame faults on and off. 129, 131, that's the MMU. 152 is the detector rack. If you go in the back of the manual, of an EPAC manual, it tells you what all these frame faults represent. So when you look at them in the code, but I think we did a cheat sheet. I can probably get that out to you. I've given it to a bunch of you before through classes and whatnot. Kind of just helps you go through there. And basically the time change. And then it'll also log, see 1145, it logs a preempt, on log, and the input and free, and then back online. So quite a bit of information that goes into there. Again, that screen is from the main menu. Anywhere in the controller, I'll say FFF, go to the main menu. And then go 0 to reports and 4 for alarms. And that brings up, and I'll always say, hit the up arrow once. And you'll notice that brings me to the most recent alarm status in there. So you'll see 526 at 11:45, it's 526 at 11:46. That'll be the last one. And then from there, I could say, okay, start toggling through the screens. You can kind of arrow up and work your way backwards. So if we're trying to trace when something specifically happened or other events that happened during them, this is a way to do it. If I go to the F screen, I go to the MMU. So we're not hooked to an MMU, so we're not going to see anything in the MMU, but ideally that would have information in there as well. All right, if I go to 195 final input status. Again, if we had active video calls going on, you'd see the vehicle detector input channels coming on and off on the top line. If you go to PED input, PED detector input, you'd see that on that line. If we were live with the preamps, you'd see the preamp come in on that line. And it would come up saying 1, 2, 3, or 4. So again, that's a really good screen to get used to going to. But a lot of times I'll spend most of my days in 1.7. That's a pretty active screen right there. So, but a lot of good stuff. I always think that's a pretty decent class to give because a lot of people just don't understand the plan sheets and how that all goes together. I don't know if anybody has any questions and see anything up there. Again, specifications, we covered the specifications a little bit. We cover the proprietary. I guess the message there is, don't be afraid of a proprietary spec. It's what you want. It's what we're working on. Together, a lot of you're on this call because you're customers of ours. We have the relationships together. We want to help you grow. We want to help you develop your infrastructure that you have in the city. Kind of start coming up with a financial budgetary plan with engineers and procurement and everybody to try to get that older equipment out of there. Great story. Friday, the long weekend this weekend. Friday, we were lucky. They let us go at 12 o'clock. If people tried to get a hold of us, I'm sorry. We were out of here at noon. It was a beautiful day. I was in my yard, and me and my daughter were trying to plant the garden. We had like a dozen plants to put in. And my phone was in the house. I come in, there's all sorts of calls, intersection and flash right in my town of Warwick, Rhode Island. I said, I'll just drive over there. The contractor's over there. I go over there. They tell me what the intersection is. I'm like, this is not going to be good. I open it up. It was an old non-electromechanical, what came right after, called an LFE. Basically opened that thing up and I was like, there's nothing we can do for this. The guy from the city was there. I'm like, there's no parts available for this. That old cast iron cabinet hangs on a pole. You could actually somebody put an M60 in there at some point, but something must have shorted on the span or whatever. The contractor was able to go get another controller, came back, put it in, and basically the same thing happened. So today they're going through the funding source. We gave them quotes and they basically have to replace that whole cabinet now. So tough time with everything going on with Corona. The city knew that the cabinet was in rough shape. The cabinet had a date of it 1972. I think they got their time in it. That thing is old. I was born in 68, so that thing's almost 50 years old, like me. But basically now they basically had to go do this, take it out of emergency funds. Now they're gonna basically recable the whole span because the span was falling down. So it's something they knew that they had to do. So if they had budgeted properly, it wouldn't have been like a big hit like they're gonna have to take. It's probably gonna end up costing them, $40,000, $50,000 to do that whole intersection. Maybe not that much. I don't know what the contractor has to do. But it was an unplanned for purchase, and we try to get away from those unplanned purchases. Working with the guy from the city, I'm going to go around with him in the next couple of weeks. We're going to hit all his intersections. He's going to come up with a plan, and they're going to start replacing the older ones as they go, which is what a lot of you guys do already. So that's great that you guys are already doing it, but it saves those unplanned emergencies. So that intersection sat on flash for a whole long weekend. So probably the worst case scenario. The only thing that saved them, ironically, was COVID. There still wasn't a lot of traffic out there, even though it was a bad intersection. So we try to avoid those things. We did the best that we could to try to help them out. We aren't going to build a cabinet over the weekend. But so that's what we're trying to do. So, part of that whole thing, again, factors into the dealer support, the things that we try to do for you guys. It's a partnership. You know what? You guys want to invest in our equipment. We invest in making you guys smarter, understanding the equipment, get reliable equipment. We try to help you out as much as you can. So proprietary, not a bad word. Proprietary is a word that gives you peace of mind. It lets you sleep easy at night because there's somebody that always has your back, and that's what Ocean State Signals always tries to do, is always have your back. Things happen, equipment fails. It is what it is. We try to do the best of what we can and try to make everything right that we can. Other than that basically is all I have. 11:52. That's a good 2-hour session right there. I don't see any questions coming in, so I just want to thank everybody. Not sure what's going on next week. At this point, I'm trying to come up with some different ideas of stuff that I can share with you, because we're still all not traveling right now. But I'll come up with something. So plan on being around next Tuesday. Other than that, guys, have a great week. Be safe, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.